when you work on your internals, when you let the Father in through the Son, you break every yoke. You break every yoke of the world. You're set free.
Daniel 3. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, these men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel, and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God.
So John 4. John 4 is a passage where Yeshua has a conversation with the Samaritan. So if you're not familiar with this particular passage, essentially Yehoshua, Jesus, was leaving Judea and he was heading back to Galilee. So in order to get to Galilee, he had to journey through a city called Sychar. And Sychar was in Samaria. So on this journey, Yeshua stopped at a parcel of land. And it's a parcel of land that Jacob left. He left his son Joseph. And Jacob's well was there as well. So Yeshua stopped at Jacob's well, and he sat up on the well. And then a woman cometh to draw up some water from this well. So as the woman comes up, Yeshua looks at her and he says, Give me the drink. And the woman responds to him, How is it that thou askest me to give thee a drink? I being a Samaritan woman.
Give me to drink.
You see, in this time, Jews didn't have any dealings with the Samaritans. So Yeshua responds and he says, If thou knowest the gift of God, and who it is that asketh of thee, give me the drink, thou would have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. And the woman replies and says, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? And then she says, Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which give us the well, and drink thereof himself, his children, his cattle? Yeshua answers and says to her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. Then the woman said to him, Sir, give me this water so that I not thirst, neither come hither to draw.
Our fathers worshipped in this mountain. And ye say that it is in Jerusalem that men ought to worship.
Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain, nor yet at Jerusalem, worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, and salvation is of the Jews. And the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth.
The Most High is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So you see, the church was no longer brick and mortar. He knew what the Father's goal was. The goal was to write the truth on the tablets of our hearts. He was going to put it on the inside of us, from the inside out, not externally in, which is what the world is. Everything in the world forces us to use our carnal eyes, and we take that information that we see externally and we try to put it inside of us and try to make sense of it. The Most High works from the inside out. So he's working on our internal thoughts. He's working on our internal heart. Because he can see our heart. He knows our true intentions. You can't hide from the Most High. The world wants to trick you into thinking that all the chaos that you see, all the promises being tossed to and fro like a pile of leaves, all the trauma-based mind control, that all of that is the reality. The goal is submission mentally from the trauma. But when you work on your internals, you let the Father in through the Son, you break every yoke. You break every yoke of the world. You're set free. Your mind's set free. And that's when the living waters of everlasting life flow. When you're feeling down, it's only short-lived at that moment, because that living water flushes and it recycles that hurt, that trauma. Because through that faith, through the belief, it keeps your spirit, it keeps your lampstand lit. It's the fire that can no longer be quenched. And that's the goal. That's what Yeshua was telling. He was telling the woman at the well that through him was the only way to get to the Father. And the only one to converse with the Father is in spirit and truth, internally. Not at a brick and mortar, but a gathering of people. That's the church. A church is a gathering of people worshiping the Father in spirit and truth only. And once you reconnect, reestablish that connection through the Son to the Father, that's when you have access to the living water. That's when you're walking in spirit and truth only. And that's when the world starts to go away. The construct of what you see, the trappings. That's when you start to have patience. Instead of reacting, you start considering things first. You start processing what you're seeing internally. And then you decide. Then you make a decision. Then you start taking it to the Father first. The world wants you to react to everything that you see. But you have to realize what we see is so limited. The spectrum of what we see, what we understand, is so limited in scope. And it's done because of the fall. Before Adam and Eve fell, they had the ability to see everything. They had the ability to see the totality of creation. Everything all at once. And all of the spectrums. But it was limited after the fall. You know, there's a little known book, the lost book of Adam and Eve. But once you know the full story, you can lean on this story because it gives you a visual reference of it gives you a visual reference of how things might have transpired, and you can process it visually. But anyway, it's called the Lost Books of Adam and Eve, or the Cave of Treasures, okay? And in this book, it talks about what happens once Adam and Eve fall. And it talks about, and Adam, you know, he's distraught over not being able to see as he once did. How it was the ability to see was reduced and weakened. So everything that we see is only limited to what has been allowed it here. And that's why we need to have the use of electronic equipment to see in the other spectrums. And that's how we know that things exist outside of our own vision. So when we come to the Father in spirit and truth, and we seeking His face and His whole heart, He gives us, He grants you then the ability to understand, and He wants to see, because He wants to show you who He is through His Son, why things are the way they are, and He wants you to, and through that fear of the Most High comes the wisdom and understanding. You no longer fear men of this world or the trappings of this world. You start seeking the kingdom first and all its righteousness. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect. He's not looking for you to be perfect. But if you love Him, He wants you to keep the commandments. Strive to be the best you can be. Be righteous in all your ways. Set aside those things that are not of the Father. And repent daily. You should be seeking salvation daily, especially in these times. Secure your salvations, people. Because the hard truth is that a lot of people don't want to talk about is not everybody's going to make it into the kingdom. Not everyone's going to make it. I'm not even worth the kingdom. But I pursue it nonetheless. I'm not worthy of the kingdom myself, but I pursue it nonetheless. It's at the forefront of everything that I do. It's at the forefront of the walk that I've taken up. But I just want to come on and I wanted to speak on John 4 and the conversation he had with the woman at the well, because it's important. It's telling. It's another forecast. It's another look forward. It's another pointing forward of things to come. Yehoshua understood his mission. Part of his new mission was to get people to know and to teach and to show the only way to the Father is in spirit and truth. Working on your internals. Working on the inside out. Okay? Not from the outside in. Let's stop focusing on the things that we're seeing externally. Let's stop being tossed to and fro like children and understand who and what it is after us. Right now, what we've experienced from 2019 now is a coronation. There's no other way to say it. It's a coronation, it's a crowning. It's the crowning of the Nakash. And we're right here, guys. We're right here. I want you to see it. My job is to get you to see it. My job is to get you to see what's coming, how it's coming, and what's going to be asked of you. What's going to be asked? What's going to be required to participate? And the question being, at what point will you say no? Once you say no and accept those consequences, accept the fact that this isn't your first estate, who or what can be against you at that point if you're for the Most High? There isn't anything at that point. So guys, be strong, understand what's coming, have these conversations, know what it is you're willing to do and what you are not willing to do. And have faith. Be strong. Be of courage. Be of good courage. Because each of us are going to need it. We're going to need that strength. We're going to need the ability. We're going to need the ability to endure. We're going to need the Father. We need to be on the right side here. Okay? So I know it's been a while. Hope you all been well. More to come. But stay strong, guys. God bless.